Morrissey and Wine podcast. My name's George.
I'm Chris.
So if you haven't come to us and watched this before, my name's George. I'm a newspaper journalist based in the East Midlands. And Chris, what do you do for work? Where do you live?
I live in Manchester, and I work in social housing.
Social housing, yeah, because you're a saint of modern times, aren't you?
People say so.
Yeah.
They do.
Now, if you have seen this podcast before, then you may have watched it on YouTube. You will notice that we've had what a lesser man might call a glow up. I'm not going to call it a glow up because that's a bit cringe, isn't it, for someone of my age to say glow up. Facelift?
Yeah, facelift. Yeah.
Some minor cosmetic readjustments, but I'm very happy with the results. Just look, it's fantastic, isn't it?
Yeah, George's trust fund came through, so we're here.
So we're really pleased to be doing this. We wanted to elevate the experience, make it more professional. I hope that you like it watching at home. Obviously, you may be listening to this on the audio version. You'll hopefully sense an increase in the quality of the audio as well. But if you go over to YouTube, you can find us at Morrissey and Wine on YouTube. Or if you go to Spotify, you'll be able to watch the video version. And I really recommend that you do. Chris, we've been setting up here for a few hours, and this bottle of Prosecco has been staring at me for 3 or 4 hours.
Yeah.
Can we please open it?
Yes, let's.
And you do it because I don't trust myself uncorking it. Probably take out someone's eye or something. So what type of Prosecco is it? It doesn't actually say.
Didn't know there was types.
We've been to a posh wine shop because obviously, it's more professional. We wanted to make the effort. This is £10. It only says Prosecco on the label, but it's got one of those product of Italy sort of labels on it. It's some reference to Romeo and Juliet's
all
War.
Prosecco has to be from Italy.
I don't. Oh, maybe you're right. Yeah, maybe you're right. You ready to
You
pop
ready?
it?
Yep.
Yeah. Oh God. Did you just point at me? Fantastic. Right, let me pour some. Well, let me grab some. Bloody hell, you're going a bit slow, Chris.
That's enough for you.
Well, thanks. I've also got a snack for you to try.
Oh dear.
It's called, let me grab them. They're called Takis. So, I don't know if you at home have heard of Takis. I heard of them on the Frank Skinner podcast on Absolute Radio. He was really taken by them. Taken by Takis. I thought I'd give them a go. These are volcano Takis.
That mean they're a bit spicy?
I think they are going to be spicy, yeah. You have a look at those and I'll pour a bit more Prosecco. You give me about 1 centilitre. It says on the label, it says mild or piquant or something. Do you think it means they're really spicy or not? If they're called volcano, you'd think they would be, wouldn't you? Anyway, we'll open those up in a second. Do you want to tell us what we've got coming up on this month's episode?
Yeah, so coming up, really excited. We're speaking to Stephen Street.
Yeah, Stephen Street.
Yep. So that's really good. We've got Nanny Val reacts again, backed by popular demand as always. We have the quiz, and I'm quizzing you this time.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're going to analyse the lyrics of a Morrissey song. This time, The Night Pop Dropped. Yeah,
so obviously, as you'll probably know, that's an unreleased Morrissey track. We wanted to analyse the lyrics of that. Stephen Street, by the way, I know most of you, or nearly all of you, are going to know who Stephen Street is. But just for those who don't, Stephen Street was an engineer and producer during the time of the Smiths, who worked closely with Morrissey and Johnny. He witnessed the breakup of the Smiths. He also was there for the launch of Morrissey's solo career. So he co-wrote and produced some of his best-known songs, Every Day's Like Sunday, Playboys.
Yep.
Playboys, and the songs from that era. So really crucial to the Morrissey story, and we've got that interview coming up later. Should we open one of these Takis, Chris?
Go on then.
Okay. Oh, I said I was desperate for that Prosecco, but I haven't even taken a sip yet. Right.
I think I'll just have one. You told me they're vegan, so...
Yeah, I think they're vegan. Right, go on. Stop. What are you doing? Just take one. I had half of it. I thought you'd only have a nibble. And they're not really hot? They're not super hot?
No.
Okay. Let me try one. They're called volcanoes, so I expected more. I was hoping you might have some sort of minor seizure. No, they're fine. How disappointing. Anyway, we'll finish off some of these tackies, have some Prosecco. In fact, do you want to do a cheers, Chris?
Yes, go on then.
To launch the relaunched Morrissey and Wine podcast.
Cheers.
Cheers. Let's go into the quiz, and this time Chris is quizzing me. Cheers.
Okay, so it's time for the quiz.
Time for the quiz. And do you know what that means, Chris?
I'm the quiz master, and you're going to talk about the lyrics you've written.
Well, I wasn't going to tell people that I'd written lyrics. I was just going to perform the lyrics, and people would go, wow, that is profound.
I don't think they will.
But what I was going to say was it means quiz theme music time. So should I play it?
Press the button.
Okay. Yeah, oh, it's so cool. We've got an actual mixing desk that lights up. It's like a TARDIS. Okay. This is the quiz, a proper quiz. I'm gonna lose this quiz. I don't know my arse from my elbow, but that's okay because I feel really good about my chances. That's probably a lie. I will guess it's all wrong, but never mind, it's okay today. Yay.
Masterpiece.
Yeah, well, I should think so. That took me 2 minutes to write those lyrics.
Okay, but you can't do that next time, though. I don't think.
What, you mean I can't spend the time writing the lyrics and making a big deal out of it? Or just don't ever sing again?
Don't sing again. Yeah, please don't. Yeah.
Okay.
I've heard worse.
So let's just remind people
Yep.
that just pause after we have after Chris has asked the question so that you can work out at home how many you get out of 10.
Yeah, and I get to press a button if you got it right.
Yeah. There's a sound effect for that as well. So
Yeah.
okay, I'm quite nervous. Let me just grab my Prosecco, Dutch courage.
Okay. So the quiz, I asked for some help because we've done how many episodes now? 11. This is the 11th.
This is the 11th episode.
Legs 11. So we had, I had some help from the community, the WhatsApp community, which you can talk about after the quiz.
Yeah.
Someone called George Bray, he's helped us, given us a few of these questions, and some of them are mine as well. So yeah.
Is George the chap who was at the Salford Lads Club this morning to get the new...
in the cold and rain? I think there was a few of them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you queue up for like 5 hours? 2 hours?
Yeah, 2 hours. I think if it's George I'm thinking of, I think he did queue up for 2 hours to get the new Morrissey t-shirt from Salford Lads. Anyway, quiz time?
On the t-shirts,
Yeah.
they apparently you can only buy, because I've had to come here to do this, apparently you can only buy one each. So I've asked one of my friends to go in disguise again so they can get me one. Anyway, question one.
Yes.
Are you ready?
Yes, I am.
Question
Clive
one.
Myrie.
Where did Morrissey play the first night of his first solo tour in 1991?
Solo tour. So it was the first night of a tour.
Yeah.
It wasn't his first solo gig.
No.
Because his first solo gig was Wolverhampton Civic Hall.
No. In 1991, that tour.
Oh my gosh. On Times Radio, when they do the quiz, I listen to Times Radio because I'm quite sophisticated. You can ask Larry the Cat and it gives you a hint. So can I ask Larry the Cat, like, was it in the UK? Can you give me a hint?
Am I Larry the Cat?
You are Larry the Cat, yeah.
It's not in the UK.
Oh, right. Well, this is that.
But that's going to throw you off because
that makes things easier, though. It must have been the Live in Dallas tour because that was 91.
What's your answer, George?
Well, it could have been Dallas or it could have been California. I am going to say Dallas.
No, sorry, it wasn't. I knew it would throw you off by asking about the UK because it was in Dublin.
Dublin, okay.
Yeah, which isn't in the UK.
No, I know. That point has been made very clear to me over the years. Okay, sorry.
No, I didn't get to press the button. Number two. So number two. Who worked alongside Morrissey to create the Smiths sleeve artwork?
Oh, okay. This person has been having some health troubles recently, and there is a GoFundMe that you can find if you want to donate to her, towards her treatment. Her name is Jo Slee. So smooth, Chris. It's like being on the One Show or something. Okay,
well done. That's
1 out of 2.
1 out of 2.
Yeah.
Question number 3. In 1984, during a tour in the US with the Smiths, Morrissey fell off the stage. In which city did this happen?
Your grammar is so funny. Right, so he was on a US tour. He fell off the stage.
Yeah.
Which city did this? In which did this city did this happen?
Yeah.
Gosh, I mean, I know when he was at the assembly rooms in Derby, he got a flower in his eye and he had to come off the stage. I know recently on the US tour, he was stage invaded and he had to come off the stage. It's not that uncommon. So, gosh, you're American City. I'm just going to take a stab in the dark and say New York City.
Well done.
Oh, brilliant.
Oh, sorry.
So, can I just press that just to see what?
No, you can't. You're not allowed to press it. No.
Oh, okay.
No.
All right. Fine.
Okay. Right. No. Only I'm allowed to press that. The quizmaster.
Yeah.
Question number 4. Which song from The Queen is Dead did Morrissey suggest should not be on the album?
Oh, right. Okay. I have heard that Morrissey and Johnny were not prepared for how big There Is a Light would become, and they considered it more of a B-side. I may be wrong about this, but that's what I'm sort of remembering. So there's a part of me that thinks it's going to be a song that's really big from that album that they didn't know would be really big. So either it would be There Is a Light or Frankly or something like that. I'm going to go with There Is a Light.
Is that your final answer?
Yeah. You're going to lean forward to press the button? Yes.
Well done. You're doing quite good, aren't you?
Thank you. I hope I'm impressing George Bray.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah.
Good questions.
Chris is having a malfunction.
How many times did the Smiths record their debut album, and how many different producers worked on it?
Okay. I think, in fact, Stephen Street talks about this briefly in the interview that's coming up, if we didn't, if I remember rightly. So there was the Troy Tate recording, I believe. I know there are many of you watching and listening to this who will have so much better trivia than me, so I hope I don't disappoint you, but Troy Tate is the name that comes to mind. I think Troy Tate was the original version. I think that it was recorded a second time. But because you've asked how many times, that makes me think it might be 3. It might be that Troy Tate did 2, and then they got a new guy in to do the third one. Sorry if I've got this wrong, but I think it was 3.
No.
Was it 2?
No, it was 2. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was trying to be too clever.
Yeah. So that's 3 out of 5, is it so far?
Are you keeping track?
Not really. I've got a free hand.
I think it. Yeah, I think so.
Okay. So question number 6. What year did the Smiths play Glastonbury?
Oh, there's that wonderful picture of Morrissey, black and white, isn't there? Wearing the striped shirt, the hearing aid. Well, the Smiths were only around between 1983 or 4 to 87.
2 to 7, yeah.
2 to 7. No, 1982. Are you going back to when Johnny and Morrissey first met? Because that's not quite the start of the Smiths.
Yeah. Well, give me an answer then. I'm the quizmaster. Thank you. Question me.
Okay. Well, I'm going to say it would have been on the ascent when they were going up. I'm going to suggest it was 1984. You going to lean? He's going to lean. Yes. I actually like not doing that bad at this.
No, it's the first time for everything, isn't it?
You might feel a prick, but there's a first time for everything. Little Britain,
yeah. Number 7. 7. At which hospital was Morrissey born? Quite a niche question.
Why? And a word came into my head immediately. And why the hell do I know this if I've got it right? The Davy Hume Hospital.
Have you been looking? No, I'm joking.
Oh, was it not?
Well, it's not. Well, it's not technically that one.
Manchester Royal Infirmary.
No,
okay.
But Davy Hume. I'll give you the point for that one because I want to press the button.
Okay. So what was it then?
It was Park Hospital in Davy Hume.
In Davy Hume, yeah. I don't know why the hell I know that. It's not like an interesting fact, really, is it?
No.
Did Morrissey House in King's Road, was that in Davy Hume?
No, that's in Trafford, technically.
Or Stretford?
Sorry, that's Stretford's in Trafford.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Gosh, the municipality of Manchester.
It's a long road, that is, because I had to take some stuff to the tip on yesterday. I was helping a friend move house, all the way down King's Road. Takes ages to get there. It's like miles of road. No wonder when I was driving down, no wonder Morrissey says that his like childhood was streets upon streets, because it is just like that.
Yeah.
Question number 8.
Mm-hmm.
You're really doing really well this time, actually.
Yeah. Thank you.
Did the Smiths Morrissey turn down Band Aid, or were they just not invited?
Oh, well, I think Morrissey made a stink about it at the time, saying he didn't want to do it. But would Bob Geldof had asked Morrissey and the Smiths, I feel like wasn't really the vibe. So I'm really sorry for saying vibe just then, by the way. But I think they weren't asked.
Well done. Yeah, they weren't asked. But then Morrissey later called it diabolical, one of the most self-righteous platforms ever in pop music history.
Is that Morrissey Central, or are you talking about
Morrissey?
You're talking about Morrissey, okay.
He said that later on, and I think most people probably agree with him now. To be fair, even though they're doing a comeback, aren't they?
It's interesting that Morrissey's on the right side of woke.
Yeah, but he was woke before woke was a thing. Then
now he's got full circle. But anyway,
yeah. But I think he was, because he probably saw that singing about somewhere that nothing ever grows, no rivers flow, is not quite Africa.
Yeah.
So question number 9. What year did Heaven Knows I'm Miserable come out? When was it released?
I think I know this because I think it formed part of my research for the Stephen Street interview. Stephen Street was, I think, assistant engineer, or rather just engineer on Heaven Knows. I think it was 1984.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, you're doing great.
Well, I was rubbish at exams at school, but if they were all about Morrissey and the Smiths, maybe I would have gone to a better university than the whole.
Could have got a good job as well. That's really good. 3 of the questions, actually, because I wrote some of these, are all about 1984, so I don't know why.
Oh.
Last question, number 10. Which compilation album shows Charles Hawtrey on the cover?
Undercover?
Undercovers.
Charles Hawtrey on the cover. That would be... I think I remember, like, Morrissey didn't actually approve this particular issue.
I think he was in the running for some of the Smiths albums, possibly, or some of the Smiths singles, sorry.
Yeah.
But it never really came out in the end.
I think it was like best of, so I'm going to say like best of part 2.
No, I need the actual title of the album. So it's not that. That's not it.
Oh, it wasn't.
It's the very best of the Smiths.
Oh, come on.
The
very best of then.
There's quite a lot of albums. Sorry.
Yeah,
there's quite a lot.
Smiths rule, okay. Okay, right. So, what do you actually have any idea of how well I did in that quiz? I think I got about 6 or 7.
I think you got about 7. Yeah.
7.
Yeah.
I'll take 7.
Yeah, I think you got 7.
How did you do at home? If you are a member of the WhatsApp chat, send us a message, please. Tell us how well you did. If you got 10 out of 10, we'll send you a Blue Peter badge. Well, we won't really, because we don't actually have any of them in our possession.
I'll make some badges.
Blue Peter badges.
Yeah.
Counterfeit Blue Peter badges, like a black market. If you're not based in the UK, you probably won't know what a Blue Peter badge is.
What is a Blue Peter badge?
Well,
I don't think I know.
It's a children's television program, Blue Peter. They would send you a badge if you like won a competition or did something special for the show, and people really covet them. I mean, Olivia Colman was on Instagram the other day when she received a Blue Peter badge, and she was over the moon that she'd finally got one. But
she's done everything, hasn't she?
Yeah. Now, I think you wanted to mention a little bit about our t-shirts that we're wearing today.
Yes, yeah.
So Chris is wearing the teachers are afraid of the pupils. I'm wearing.
I'll try and show it.
Yeah, just pull it, just make it taut like a tiger. And I'm wearing a Sweet and Hender Hooligans t-shirt. These are designed by All You Need Is Moz on Instagram.
Yeah.
So there's this design, there's that design, and there's also, have you got the Patricia one?
Yep.
We've got a third design as well.
The best one, I think.
Yeah. So the one I'm wearing has been selling the best, but this one is probably me and Chris's personal favourite. Come and join the girls with a picture of, I feel like I'm on QVC, with a picture of Patricia Routledge, rumored to perhaps not be straight, possibly. I don't think that's libelous. And I don't think she's watching this podcast or listening. But anyway, these t-shirts, £25 each. If you're interested, go to www.morrisseymerch.com. That's MERCH, morrisseymerch.com. If you're based in the UK, it's just like £2.50 shipping. But if you're based in the US or the EU, we can sort that for you. And they're so comfortable, and we love wearing them. And they're compliment magnets, aren't they, Chris?
They are, yeah. I did get a compliment last night at Restaurant Garter for the Smiths Disco. But yeah, he's done a good job with the designs. I think it was our inspiration, but yeah, he did a good design.
What a backhanded comment. His name is Bo. All you need is Moz. They're Bo's designs.
Yeah,
he did a great job.
Really good
Thank
job.
you, Bo.
Yeah.
Check them out. Now, what have we got coming up next, Chris?
We've
got. We're gonna. The Night Pop dropped.
Yes, that's right. Yes, we're gonna listen to that. Obviously, it's not been released, so it is live version.
Yeah, we're gonna analyze the lyrics of The Night Pop dropped. So let's head into that now. Cheers.
The Night Pop dropped.
The Night Pop dropped. Okay, so we've just listened to the song, and you'll have just heard a clip. And this is from the unreleased album Without Music, The World Dies. One of two unreleased Morrissey albums. The other one, of course, being Bonfire of Teenagers. My feeling about this song, firstly, I love how it sounds. And I'm not the biggest musician, I don't often appreciate musical qualities very much. But it's funky. It's different. It's a new sound for Morrissey.
It is different, very different, I think, yeah.
And I don't know, but when we interviewed Alan White, he said that this album had more of a 70s sound, didn't he? Was he talking about Bonfire or was he talking about Without Music? Can't quite remember.
But it was Bonfire.
Oh, maybe. But it's about Morrissey exploring different, musical ideas. Now, what I wanted to say was, you have to remember, the album is called Without Music, The World Dies. Morrissey's a musician. He's making the point. Music is very important, therefore I am very important. Don't diss me so much because on the streets, because I'm doing an important thing for society. And this song, The Night Pop Dropped, is all about what would happen if the world didn't have pop music. So sad for me, for us, for the universe, if we had never known pop music, i.e., if we had never known Morrissey. I mean, ultimately, that's what he's saying, right?
We wouldn't be here.
Yeah. We wouldn't be doing this, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So for me, just to kick us off with this conversation, I think it's about the importance of pop music, and pop one Morrissey. I think that's what it's about.
Okay.
What do you think of the song?
Well, this song and the one we listened to, I think this is the same one you're probably going to put on the podcast. It was in Paris, and I was at that show.
Oh, and taken by Baby J, of course.
Yeah. So I was at that show, and I can remember. I mean, the last lyrics in the song.
Yeah.
The best thing you can do. He said the best thing you can do is be yourself, and then it sort of repeats itself there.
Yeah.
The best thing you can do is just be yourself. That was quite powerful hearing that live.
Yeah, I knew you'd mention that. You like that, and also there's like
it almost gives you permission or some sort of reassurance in a way that things you're okay, you're fine by me.
I mean, the line goes, he said, the best thing you can do is be yourself. And then I think at the start, if I can just scroll back on the lyrics, he held us firm till the last sun warmed. So I wonder, is pop music becoming a person here? Pop music is he, or is it some kind of music mogul? You know, someone that Morrissey remembers. Could have been Bowie, could have been Lou Reed. I don't know, some male musician, or is he personifying pop music? Do you get where I'm coming from?
Yeah, I do, yeah.
Because who is he?
Yeah.
This guy that he's talking about.
Yeah. No, I understand. And then the other sort of line that I really like in the song is...
Scrolling?
Yes,
Scrolling?
yes.
Scrolling?
I won't find it now.
Well, what is it?
It's not that big, is it? I like the no taboo on booze and such. No taboos on very much. It sounds really nice when Morrissey sings that live when I've seen the shows and what we've just heard. So
yeah,
that sounds great. What do you think the very much is?
Well, very much. I mean, he's saying basically everything was up for grabs.
Yeah,
literally.
Yeah.
But I don't think it is no taboo on booze and such. I think it's booze and touch.
Okay.
I think he's saying no taboo on booze, no taboo on touch. He's saying everyone was just screwing each other and everything was fine. I think what you've got here is a little insight into Morrissey's opinion on cancel culture. And he's sort of saying basically all the people today in 2024 that are getting cancelled, there was no taboo on that when I started in music. I mean, that's an interesting question also. Is he talking about when he started in pop music in the 80s, or is he looking back to a time before?
Yeah. To me, it's a bit before then even. Yeah.
I mean, I played this song last time we did the podcast. I mentioned Ajit, my stepmom, who listens to the podcast.
Yep.
And how she likes Morrissey sort of a bit generally. She really likes Every Day Is Like Sunday. In fact, she used to like Panic, and she recorded it off the top 40 on her cassette player. Recorded it the top 40 every week.
Yeah.
And with that song, she thought Morrissey was saying hang the teacher, rather than hang the DJ.
Really?
Yeah. And she thought that for years until I started getting into Smiths. Anyway, played her this song and she loved it. She thought it was fantastic. And I think probably because it's a bit different from Morrissey musically.
It is quite different, yeah.
Have you noticed how... So when he says, so sad for me, for us, so sad for the universe, like it doesn't really rhyme. And it's very similar to that photographer. He must have really had it in for you.
Is there a name for that sort of rhyme?
Crap. That's a joke. Sorry, Morrissey. Sorry.
I mean, yeah, obviously your song that you did for the quiz was so much better.
Yeah, oh well.
Than anything Morrissey could ever write.
Oh, dear. Yeah.
So, yeah.
But no, I actually
check yourself before you write.
Sorry, Morrissey, I didn't mean it. When you ask ChatGPT, because I went through about a week when I had it on my phone, I said, does universe rhyme with us? And it said, no, universe and us does not rhyme because the sounds are different, blah, blah, blah. But, I actually quite like that Morrissey does this sort of half-baked rhyme. Because
I think that's better in a way because I think sometimes when you hear songs, it sounds like they've just picked the words because they rhyme too much. And then it's sort of like you think, did they really want to say that? Or is it just because that rhymes and it works there? Whereas I don't think Morrissey does that as much. I think he tries to, like you said, photographer got it in for you.
Yeah.
It's good enough for me anyway to fit. But yeah, I think that's better. That it's what he wants to say rather than just because, I don't know, it rhymes. Cat and Matt rhyme. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you want some more Prosecco, by the way?
Go on then.
Okay.
I must go on.
Yeah, I mean, and also, of course, just personally speaking, this song has a really nice memory for me because we saw him, the first time we ever heard this song, was in Lyon last year, 2023.
Yeah.
Do you want a bit more?
No, that's okay.
Okay. He was wearing this brown suit. He looked gorgeous. It was Lyon. It was a fairly small theatre. And it was the first time, at least, I'd heard it live. And it was just so powerful and interesting and, as I said, a little bit different from Morrissey.
It was a good show.
Now, I wanted to talk about these lines. So, and the girls at the back door sang high and the boys at the back door sang low. Now, I may be reading way too much into this, but if you forgive me for being slightly crude, the girls at the back door sang high, breast level, high. The boys at the back door sang low, groin level. I'm getting like sexual. I just get a sexual kind of imagery from these lines.
Do you think? I've not really got that, but you are quite strange. So, so I don't know. Maybe that.
They're
could
at the
be
back. They're at the back door though.
The back door is obviously it could be a euphemism.
Yeah, and groupies hang around at the back door, and he's possibly, if you'll allow me this
Indulgence,
this liberal decadence, you know, the groupies at the back door. You know, some singers like the girls, some singers like the boys, but they were all there at the back door, you know. Well, and I think that links to him saying, you know, no taboo on booze and touch, no taboo on very much. It was just a free-for-all.
Yeah.
In this golden age of pop when people were being sexually assaulted. All these horrible things that hopefully don't happen as much anymore.
There's no silly things like Me Too.
No.
Joking.
Yeah, that is a joke. No, but that's an interesting point. Let's examine that just very briefly. So you can have no taboo on booze and touch. You can have no taboo on very much, but that might be fun for some people. But for a lot of other people, that involves, you know, probably lots of horrible stuff that comes with it. So you sort of have to ask yourself, well, do we want to live in the Taylor Swift world where everyone signs a contract saying that they're going to be lovely to each other and nothing bad ever happens? And also people just drop dead of boredom every 5 minutes. But at least no one was hurt. Or do you want the other version that he describes in this song where everyone's touching everyone and drinking and taking drugs and making fabulous pop music, but people get hurt in the process?
But I think that's the point, is that you don't really have a choice. This is more the real world.
Yeah.
Morrissey sings about the real world and what's happening. Taylor Swift sings about what people want, maybe more.
Yeah. I know, and we do use Taylor Swift as a byword for boring pop, which actually is lazy. I know you don't like her, do you, very much?
It's not that I don't like her. I don't want to listen to her.
And you would rather she was silent.
And I would rather
incel
she
misogynist.
Yes, yeah. And it is boring, yeah.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I like Shake It Off. Used to listen to that when I would go to the clubs when I was younger. I mean, and I knew the words, but I would choose Morrissey any day, of course. This isn't Taylor and Wine. This is Morrissey and Wine. So I hate to be so simple about it, but give me an out of 10 score for this song. How does this rank for you as a Morrissey track?
All Morrissey songs get a 10 from me.
Oh, come on. Get out of Morrissey's arse.
No, I think, yeah, I really like it.
So you're thinking like a 9 or 10?
I think I really like it. It's not to me. There's other songs in that album that I probably prefer in some ways, but I think some of the lines in it are really, really strong. I also like the sound. I like the fact that it's quite different to most of the other songs.
Yeah, and it's going to sound fabulous when we hear the studio version. Don't you think?
Yeah,
because it's just so colourful and sparkly. You know.
What about you then?
I actually do really quite like this song, and I think he's saying something different, which I really appreciate from Morrissey. And it's slightly autobiographical, which is always my favourite kind of Morrissey song. So I'm going to give it 8.5.
8.5.
Yeah. For comparison, Suede Head is a 10, and The Girl from Tel Aviv Who Wouldn't Kneel is a 1. I know that's going to be controversial.
No, I like that one.
Yeah. I know a lot of people do, but...
Yeah. But we all know George has no understanding of music, really, in his own song that he wrote.
Have I told that story on the podcast about that BBC test that I did? The test of musical perception.
Oh, okay.
Have I mentioned this?
I think so. You didn't do very well, did you?
1%. My musical perception is
Bottom
worse
1%.
than 99% of the UK population. And that's
Crazy.
why I love Morrissey so much. No, I just love lyrics.
So you're perfectly qualified to do such a podcast.
Yeah.
Really, that's great, isn't it?
Sorry. Chris, can you just bring up the plan?
Yeah.
Because we just need to work out what we're going on to next. And also, this might be a great opportunity to just remind you of a couple of things. So, social media. We are on so many platforms now. Instagram, Twitter, Blue Sky, Threads.
Blue Sky?
Blue Sky. Chris doesn't understand any other social media apart from Instagram. Yeah, we're on Threads and Blue Sky and something else. Oh, WhatsApp, of course. So just search for us on any of these platforms. WhatsApp, of course, you can't really search. So find us on Instagram or Twitter or anything like that. Click the link in our bio and you'll find the WhatsApp link. So you'll get breaking news notifications when Morrissey announces a new gig or posts on his website, that sort of thing.
Obituaries,
yeah, which of course there are many. I'm not posting everything that Morrissey puts on his website because there has been a lot of fan music videos that he's posted recently, which I'm not sure the sheer quantity that he's putting out. I don't think our followers want notifications of all of that. I may be wrong.
let us know if you do.
I'm editorializing a little. Anyway, WhatsApp and all those social media platforms. Also, we've got the interview with Stephen Street coming out later. That is a 20-minute version of the interview, but the full 45-minute interview is available to our Patreon subscribers. Now, this is a paid-for service where you get kind of benefits from us for subscribing. It's £4.50 a month for people in the UK and $5 for people in the US. Depending on where you are, the currency will convert. So you get Chris and George off mic, a bonus 30-minute episode every month where we discuss various topics off mic, a bit more honest, a bit more opinionated, what we really think about stuff. As I said, you'll get the full unedited interviews with our guests, this month Stephen Street, and it was really hard to chop it down to 20 minutes because he said a lot of interesting stuff, didn't he?
Apparently George has cut out all of my questions that I asked. So anyone who doesn't subscribe to this thing, this Patreon, then I think they're going to just think I sat there nodding and smiling at Stephen. That I did ask questions.
Yeah,
so.
It was a mistake. I honestly didn't mean to cut Chris out. And I'm
I
not
think
even
you did.
Not even sure I did, but yeah, the 20-minute version may not have a lot of Chris talking in it. Now, if you join the Patreon, you'll get Chris and George off mic, full unedited interviews. You'll be able to join the exclusive WhatsApp chat with about 100 diehard fans, including me and Chris. We're often in there chatting away. You'll get regular deliveries of Smith and Morrissey badges made by Chris with his badge machine.
Badget. I think that's what it's called, a badget.
Badget. Like Adget, my stepmom, but she makes badges.
Or batshit. I don't know. Yeah.
And finally, your fifth and final benefit if you join the Patreon is you can choose Nanny Val's next song. So Nanny Val is going to be going to let us know what she's chosen this week. That's based on suggestions from Patreon subscribers. So just Google Morrissey and Wine Patreon. That's Patreon. Or I think it's just patreon.com/Morrissey and Wine. So next we are going to go into what, Chris?
Next, we're going to go into If You Love Morrissey, You'll Love This.
Okay, yeah. So just some recommendations.
Yeah, so things that we think, if you like Morrissey, you'll probably like this as well. Yeah.
Okay, let's go into that now.
Mine is Patricia Routledge.
Patricia. So what? If you love Morrissey, you'll love this. Yours is Patricia Routledge.
Yeah, well, she's the star of one of the T-shirts that we have.
Yeah. Do you have?
Yeah, I can show it again. Yep. These T-shirts, by the way, George made me do some promotional video things.
Yeah.
In Manchester, this was last week or this week. It's absolutely freezing, and I was walking around Manchester in just a T-shirt. My nipples were like bullets. It was horrible.
It's a lovely image.
That's Patricia Routledge.
Yeah.
There's 3 of them, not in real life, but on the T-shirt. So she is really famous for keeping up appearances. Yeah. Which I think is great and hilarious and worth watching. But then there's sort of a few more things. She's worked with Alan Bennett doing Talking Heads, which is genius. There's A Lady of Letters is probably my personal favourite, and there's A Woman of No.
A Lady of Letters?
Yeah, that's one of the Talking Heads. Yeah.
Oh, Talking Heads, yeah.
One of the Talking Heads,
They're monologues, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. They're monologues. They're quite dry, but really, really funny. Really, really Alan Bennett as well. And then also she did a sort of similar Talking Head sort of monologue with Victoria Wood, Kitty, and there's 3 of those. They're on YouTube. They're only very short, but they're quite dry but funny.
The gem roly-poly was a little dry, Kitty said.
That's not Patricia Routledge. that's Little Britain. But yeah, because some of the things she says, she has some quite funny things, like the secret to a long life is a healthy diet, good exercise, and a complete avoidance of midget gems. So yeah, it is. I think it's worth looking at.
That reminds me of that Victoria Wood song. I think I can't remember which one it is. And she says, basically the scene is an old couple in their 90s. They were celebrating their anniversary, and the local newspaper comes around, and they ask the woman, "What's the secret to long life?" And she says, "Regular sex with the Coleman, I think." So if you love Morrissey, you'll love Patricia Routledge. That's what you're saying.
I think so. Yeah, and I've actually met her.
Yes.
Yeah.
Didn't you tell me that thing? She had some, her shirt was not.
Oh, bless her. I mean, back, this was 5 years ago, and she looked about 1 million then, and she's still alive. She's great, but yeah, she sort of, we were waiting outside. It was in the middle of nowhere. It was sort of near Norfolk somewhere. And I went with my friend James, and we were the only people in the audience under the age of about 60, and we sat there watching. It was really good. Because I think she still tours occasionally.
Yeah.
And then at the end, we sort of hung around afterwards. The only people there, all the cars had gone in the car park. And then she sort of, with the door opened, but she just came out on her own and no one with her. And then we sort of walked up to her. We tried to go too slowly, not to startle her. And yeah, she had sort of some food down her. But she looked great. And yeah, gave me a good childhood.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I remember being off sick from school, and Keeping Up Appearances would come on at about 11 o'clock in the morning or 2 in the afternoon on BBC Two or something. It reminds me of pretending to be ill so I wouldn't have to go to school. So I have my recommendation.
Yeah, go on then.
So this is a sitcom called Early Doors. We previously have recommended The Royal Family. This is written by one of the same people as The Royal Family, Craig Cash. And it is actually quite similar in structure to The Royal Family, because with The Royal Family, every episode is in the living room or sometimes the kitchen or a bedroom, but mainly the living room. With Early Doors, it's all in this one pub called The Grapes in Manchester. And even when in one episode they go for a day trip, which they've been talking about for weeks and weeks, you don't see them go on the day trip. You just see them leave and come back, you know. But the very first episode, if you go on the iPlayer, if you're based in the UK, or if you find it on YouTube, very first episode, within the first minute, someone puts this charming man on the jukebox. That's Craig Cash's character, and that even the landlord, who's the straightest kind of most normal guy in Manchester, is singing along to the lyrics. You know, making the point that the Smiths are very important to Manchester. Now, if you want to see a clip, like get a taster of Early Doors, I've got the Instagram account, Early Doors Clips.
You've sent me a few of these, haven't you, I think?
Yeah.
Is there one where they talk about organic veg or something? Is that?
Not sure.
You sent me one that's quite funny.
There's just loads of clips. Yeah, loads of clips.
Is that your new phone, George?
Barbie pink.
Yeah.
So I think if you love Morrissey, you will love Early Doors, because it's dark, very, very faintly dark. It's dry. It's real people, salt of the earth, proper British grittiness in a comedy, and very similar to Royal Family. So if you like that, you'll like this as well. There's a Venn diagram, isn't there? Royal Family, Early Doors, and Morrissey, and I'm right in the middle of that Venn diagram. So that concludes our recommendations. I hope you check those out. Next, what are we doing?
So next we are going on to Nanny Val Reacts.
Nanny Val is going to join us in the studio.
What song have the song been?
She hasn't told us yet. We sent her the Patreon suggestions. She's been checking them all out. When she arrives shortly, she'll tell us what she's chosen. If you want to be someone who suggests a song next time, please join our Patreon. So yeah, in-person appearance from the VIP that is Nanny Val.
In the flesh.
VIP. So let's go into that.
Let's.
So, Nan, welcome to the Morrissey and Wine podcast for real.
Yes, for real. I've heard of imposter syndrome, but this is preposterous syndrome with this.
Just think like you're on your favourite programme this morning.
Yeah.
And we're in the studio with, what's that woman's name, the one from Big Brother? The black lady?
Alison Hammond.
Alison Hammond. I'm Alison Hammond. He's Dermot O'Leary. It's just your favourite show. Everything's fine.
Of course.
Now, well, thank you for coming in person. I know it's not easy. What song have you chosen this month?
I have chosen, hold it.
Yep.
I've chosen, I thought You Was Dead.
So I Thought You Were Dead is from, I think, 2019.
Excuse me, it's not We're Dead, it's Was Dead. One of his grammatical errors that he pops in every now and again.
Well, no, yeah, but the title is "I Thought You Were Dead," but what he
Really?
says in the song is "I Thought You Was Dead."
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
Most of the lyrics I've seen
Yeah,
have
yeah.
shown it all the way through.
Well, shall we start with that then? Morrissey often like says things grammatically wrong on purpose.
Although he's very literate.
Yeah, he knows exactly the right way
Yeah.
to say it. What did you make of that? Like that sort of style?
I find this almost a norm now for him. I'm used to all these little idiosyncrasies.
Yeah. But do you think like if you hear, I know that you know the right way to say things and whatever. When you hear Morrissey say, I thought you was dead. Do you think, oh, Morrissey must be a bit thick because he said was?
Oh, no, absolutely not. Oh, you see, if he's thick, we're all in trouble.
Okay, so generally speaking then, what did you think of the song?
I liked it. It's very lively. Sort of gypsy music with violins and all this sort of thing. It was composed with Jesse Tobias, and Morrissey.
Yeah.
So, I really enjoyed it. I like it when you can hear all his words, all his diction, because some they're not. And I like it when you can actually hear his words, because that's the most important aspect of the.
Were there any lines that stood out for you?
Again, I need to refer to this. This was only brought to my attention yesterday by one of your followers.
We were just saying it's great that your nan gets to hear it for the first time, and we like that it's a fresh take on it.
Yeah.
Because we don't get that mostly. Because we did on the episode we did IX Love You, and we could do that as a fresh look because it's a new song. But yeah.
Yeah, no, it's. I was trying to work out why it was saying I thought you was dead and all this sort of thing, and I came up with my own silly theory, as I always do.
Go on.
Go on.
Jesse joined Morrissey in, I got to think, is it 2005? A minute, sorry, hold with me.
Well, you're going to beat us with this knowledge because I don't know when
Yeah,
Jesse
but only
joined.
because I do a little bit of research to get
He's
something.
been vital for a long time. Every show I've been to see Morrissey, he's been there. So
Yeah.
there's never not been there for me. But
Yeah, well, I think Alan White was ill or something, and he went off, and then Jesse was brought in. And Jesse had been touring with his wife. Again, I'll have to look at the name, but
Mrs. Tobias.
Angie Hart.
Oh yeah,
Right.
Another Angie. Johnny Marr's
Yes,
wife was called Angie.
I remember that. I remember that. You're telling me that, yeah. And he joined Morrissey in 2004, and he divorced Angie in 2005. And a reporter said, obviously, Hart's attraction is less than Morrissey's.
Yeah.
So I've gone with that. And they've been together, they've been best friends, whatever, for 20 years now. And so I think this is about their relationship.
Okay.
I just feel that, because there's a lot of background, very hard to understand talking.
Yes.
That is apparently Jesse. So the bits
Okay.
I've been trying to follow. And some people have tried, I don't know how, but they've actually gone into it more deeply and found out what they were saying. And it was things he was saying about sea breeze and sky blue and all this. And my silly theory, which I'm sure I'll be corrected on, is that they were possibly away recently on a holiday somewhere, because Morrissey frequently goes down to Mexico, etc.
Yeah.
And they probably met one of their exes, either Morris's or Jesse's. And this song is sort of evolved from that.
Well, saying,
thing.
"Oh, I thought you were dead."
Yeah, I thought you were dead, yeah. And because they seem to be and Morrissey does seem to be these days in a much more stable, happy sort of place, doesn't he? He seems to be lighter, do you think?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Well,
So
not as tortured as he was in his youth.
Well, he seems sometimes when he's on stage, even recently, he seems really happy.
Yes.
Really, obviously hilarious as well, and pretty happy. Yeah. Which is great to see.
Well, that is an interesting theory, and who knows if we ever do get Morrissey to come on the podcast, and Nan, you will be here if Morrissey comes in. So maybe this will appeal to Morrissey if he's watching. You will meet Nanny Val.
Well, I did think he
what-
was
what a
here today.
prize.
I was quite disappointed when I thought, it's not real.
So we can ask Morrissey whether your theory is correct. What I was going to ask you, Nan, was so Morrissey is in his 60s. You're a little bit tiny bit more advanced than that.
I could be his mum.
But you're in a. I think possibly both slightly in a period of life where you could say to someone, I thought you were dead.
Oh, I say it frequently. And I see people on the telly and I thought they were dead.
So Morrissey's coming across, his narrative is sort of saying, I was so happy because I thought you were dead.
Yeah.
And then I found, I bumped into you. Have you ever discovered that someone isn't dead and you thought, oh, crap.
You forgot to give them a Christmas card, but they were still alive.
I probably need a little bit of, I'm afraid to ask sometimes when I speak to someone that I've not seen for ages, like I've got relations in South Wales and that. I'm afraid to ask about people because I think, God, they're older than me. I bet they're gone. I don't sort of say, how is so-and-so? But did you ever hear that faint background talk?
The talking,
yes,
yeah.
But it's very hard to discern what is being said.
I think I looked it up once, or I asked someone to translate it. I can't quite remember what it's like Italian or something, or Spanish, isn't it? The talking in the background.
I don't think so.
Oh, right.
Well.
I must be mistaken.
Obviously, I didn't hear it. I heard the talking, but couldn't understand it. So I delved in to see if I could find what was being said. It's all been so nice. It's been so freedom now, never gloom, happiness all afternoon. Can't you get this in your thick head? Sorrow gone, peace won. 5 words spurred me on. And then it's, I thought you were dead.
They're my favourite lines in the song, those bits.
Yeah.
I think the fact that it's almost like, sorrow gone, peace won.
And it was so nice. It's all been so nice. It was so nice, so nice. So that could be that they'd had a lovely, I won't say romantic, but
genial
a holiday with a friend. Yeah. And someone interrupted that flow. I don't know if it's true.
It's interesting. Now, what do you think of the line "genial to the last, but crucially, leave the past in the past"? Do you believe in leaving the past in the past?
Yes. Yeah, I think so.
Why is that important to leave the past in the past?
Well, it can stir up a hornet's nest, But even I've never been one to go back to the same place on holiday time after time after time. I think it can never be repeated.
Yeah.
You go somewhere new, explore new fields. So for me, that's not my way. It's to stir things up from the past.
Nothing in life worth doing involves repetition, apart from listening to the Morrissey and Wine podcast. But,
Whose quote was that, Chris?
that was mine.
Oh, I see.
I can think of something that involves repetition, which is worth doing, but I'm not going to.
Okay.
My grandma is here.
Yeah, that as well. Yeah.
But to be honest,
eating dime cakes.
Yeah, eating dime cakes from Sainsbury's. Now me and Chris have been to Barcelona many times. We've repeated and we've gone back there.
Yes.
In some ways, I disagree because I think if you like something and you know it's a safe bet, you can go back to it. But at the same time, I understand that you might get more enjoyment by trying something new.
Right, well,
could be even better.
It's a personal choice, isn't it? But I've always been like that. I mean, I've had friends that have gone back to the same place, even in England, year after year after year. And I'm, God, it's so boring. I couldn't. It would drive me crazy, however nice it was.
And do you think that the song sort of "I Thought You Were Dead"? It doesn't always mean what happened was negative, but sometimes if that person is dead,
no, I think it's like a put down to somebody.
Yeah.
You've turned up. I thought you were dead. I hoped you were dead, because there is a line. I hoped you were dead.
I hoped you were dead.
And the only other thing I gleaned from all this was I wanted to know who that guy was on the Red Final release.
Oh yes, and we asked in the WhatsApp chat, didn't we?
Yes, yeah. And when you sent me the name, it was
Donnelly something.
Donnelly Rhodes.
Yeah.
He'd only recently died. So obviously, again, it was Morris's, acknowledgement of him, because he was a big character in he's a Canadian actor, but he was in a thing called Soap, and he was he was an escapee. They called him the hapless Dutch, his name was. Oh, right. And I watched another episode of that just to remind me. And I thought, oh, yeah, I can remember this. At the time, it was huge. It was a big,
Oh, so even in the
comedy.
UK, even though he was a Canadian actor?
No. It was an American
right.
TV program,
right.
Like a serial. So you waited, but it was all crazy humour, Yeah, it was all mad. So, and it was like the year before he died. And so obviously that was an acknowledgement from Morrissey, which I think he often does of people he admires, you know.
Yeah, he doesn't. Morrissey is like an endless encyclopedia of references, isn't he?
Absolutely.
Yeah. He's constantly putting out these, would I have ever heard of Donnelly? What's his name, Donnelly?
Donnelly Rhodes.
Would I have ever heard of him without Morrissey?
No.
Definitely not.
I knew his face, but obviously it was an older photograph of him. And I thought, why do I know that guy? And I just couldn't identify him, and I couldn't find it online. And then when one of your people in the group...
Yeah, we have a team of people researching for us.
Was it Colin and George, George Bray and Colin who replied?
Yeah, I think so. It was almost instantaneous. So
apologies if we got that wrong, but yeah.
They know everything, don't they?
In fact, I can check now. Let me have a look. Nan, while I'm checking that, can I ask you, on a scale of 1 to 10, with the songs that you've heard over the last year, and it has been a year, or 11 months, but almost a year, where would you put this Morrissey song? Sort of 10 out of 10, 1 out of 10?
Yeah, I like this one. I like this one a lot. I'd have to do that because I was trying to find them all the other day. So
all the ones you've done?
Yeah, and I've got some of them, but I haven't put them all down yet. So to do a scale is hard. But this was certainly up there. I would say about a 9 at least. It's a nice one. I like the fact that, as I say, I can hear the words. That's an old-fashioned thing, I suppose. Old lady thing. But
no, I'm the same.
Oh, I do like that, because I think his words are so... poetic usually, but even these, I mean, they're, different and odd, but they're nice. I like listening to them.
Well, I found out who it was. It was Johnny and Colin.
Okay.
So thank you, Johnny and Colin, for answering that question.
Absolutely.
Because you called me, didn't you, Nan, in preparation, and said, I can't work out who it is. I've Googled so many things. Who is the cover star from? But they answered it.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's worth watching an episode of that just for fun, called Soap.
So,
okay, yeah, give that a go.
Look it up. So with Donnelly
Rhodes.
Donnelly Rhodes. Okay, well, thank you, Nan. I hope it wasn't too difficult to be in the studio. I hope you've enjoyed it a little bit.
Yes.
Not at all.
Not too bad. From 1 to 10.
It's odd for me. I've been press ganged.
Yeah.
Should we wish our listeners a happy Christmas?
A Merry Christmas.
Yes, I think we should, yeah.
Which camera are we looking into?
I think, is that one there's best?
This one?
I don't know.
I'm looking to Gary. Which should we look into, Gary?
If you want to all be on the shop.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, Gary.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Or what do you call them? Mozophiles.
I think that's something else. Cheers.
Mozzie Christmas.
Cheers.
Mozzie Christmas.
So now we have the interview with Stephen Street, the one that I was mostly cut out of. just a nodding head, thank you.
Well, I didn't mean to cut you out, but just maybe I did a little bit.
Probably.
Do you hate me?
No more than usual.
Yeah, I did possibly cut you out. We'll have to see how it comes out in the wash, in the edit. But I didn't mean to. I just thought that the things that I said were more interesting than the things that you... No. What I mean
I was just meeting the room.
Yeah. The things that he said that were more interesting happened to be as a result of my questions. Now, you might say that's because I'm a better person than you.
Yeah, you might say that. Yeah.
So let me introduce Stephen Street. We all know the name. If you listen to his podcast or watching it, you fully know who Stephen Street is. But let me just give you a quick rundown of his importance to the Smiths and Morrissey story. So Stephen Street started his career at Island Records as an assistant engineer, an in-house engineer, and he crossed paths with the Smiths in 1984. In fact, Chris, can you pass me that laptop? Because I
thought you had really good eyesight.
I thought I did, but maybe I'm just getting old.
You said you've got the best eyesight in the world.
Pass me that laptop. Shut up. Right. Stephen Street started his career as an in-house engineer at Island Records, where he first crossed paths with the Smiths in 1984. So he served as an engineer on Heaven Knows I'm Miserable Now in 1984, that same year. He worked up the ladder with the Smiths, and eventually that culminated in being co-producer on Strange Ways Here We Come in 1987. Johnny Marr said there were 5 of us making those records, and that was in reference to Stephen Street.
The fifth Smith.
The fifth Smith, not Craig Gannon, although we would like to speak to him one day.
Definitely.
So there's 2 fifth Smiths.
The fifth, yeah.
There's a fifth Smith and a sixth Smith.
Fifth Smiths.
So the sixpence. Anyway, he was kind of a fifth Smith. Stephen Street witnessed the breakup of the Smiths firsthand, and he followed Morrissey into the start of his solo career. He became his first solo co-writer and producer and bass player. Stephen Street has co-written and produced some of Morrissey's best and well-known and most crucial songs, including Every Day is Like Sunday, Suede Head, and The Last of the International Playboys, and many more. We'll Never Marry, Sister I'm a Poet. The list goes on. If you're interested in the launch of Morrissey's solo career, if you're interested in the breakup of the Smiths, and if you're interested in what is Morrissey like in between songs, and do his musicians hang out with him, and does he get on with everybody? Spoiler, no. I think you're gonna.
That's a big spoiler.
Yeah. I think you're gonna enjoy this interview, Chris. I'm sorry that I cut you out, but at least you're there nodding along to all the interesting things that I'm saying.
I could have just
So
look like a simpleton. Just I won a competition.
It's on day release. Okay, well, let's go into the interview with Stephen Street. My first question to kick us off is with regards to your connection to Morrissey. How did you first meet? And I guess it was at Island Records. And did you hit it off straight away with Morrissey? Did you gel?
Yeah, I'm obviously when they came in that day to do that session, I was aware of them. I'd seen them do This Charming Man on Top of the Pops, and I was smitten, as it were. I thought they were great. I mean, I was very much into kind of alternative post-punk guitar stuff anyway. So I was very keen that day to do as well as I possibly could. A, to be a good engineer for John, but B, to also hopefully impress them that I was a good person to be in the studio with. Not even dreaming that I would be involved with them for the length of time that I did subsequently work with them for. But I just wanted to do a good professional job and hopefully get another session from them. And in fact, at the end of that 3-day session, Morrissey and Johnny kind of said, "Can we take your name and number as such? We'd like to do some stuff in the future." And I went, "Yeah, absolutely." And then they went off and did the next single, William, with John in another studio with a completely different engineer. So I thought that ship has sailed, But fortunately, that wasn't the case. And then a few months later, Jeff Travis phoned me and said the band are keen to do the next album, which is, Meat is Murder. And they want to produce it themselves, but they want to work with someone that they like and trust. And would you be interested in, being that person, as it were? So kind of, obviously I said yes, and that was it really. That was the first kind of proper step up the ladder, being their kind of in-house guy, as it were, to work with. And then going through to, it was a nice gradual kind of, as I say, ascension of responsibility and production credit and so on and so forth. But it got to a point, obviously, when they broke up, when we did that last album, we were very happy in the studio. So, there was no indication at all that they were going to break up. Really, it wasn't at all. And I'm very proud of Strange Race. I think actually production-wise, it's the most, kind of complete record, as it were. And even when they broke up, I thought they were going to be back together again within a few months. I just thought it was just a little kind of small argument. There wasn't much left in the can, as it were, to put on the B-sides of the singles that were going to come out from Strange Ways. So when I first sent a bunch of kind of song ideas to Morrissey, I was just kind of like, I was worried I was being a bit presumptuous, but I thought, got to try, he's tried to work with some other people since Johnny's left, and that hasn't worked. And I was just thinking they were going to be perhaps used as potential B-side things until Johnny and Morrissey got their heads back together again and carried on the Smiths. But obviously, as we know, I sent those song ideas off to Morrissey. We'd already had that abortive session working with Ivo from Easter House. That didn't work out. You guys are familiar with that story, I take it.
Yes. So there was a track that we were going to ask you about from that session, actually. I Don't Want to Finish.
There was nothing came out of that session at all, really.
Oh, okay. Right.
No, nothing. I mean, we did it was a 2-day session, so Saturday and Sunday at a studio in North London. And the first day, it just obviously wasn't working. And the next morning, Andy phoned me and said, "Stephen, don't come in today. Morrissey's gone back to Manchester." So it was like, we didn't even do the second day. And that was when, as I said, I thought, okay, well, at the moment, it's kind of nothing's really happening, and they've tried to do something, it's not working. I had some song ideas that I was doing on a 4-track cassette, which is pretty much the same kind of way Johnny would be submitting ideas and stuff. And I literally sent a little letter saying, "Yeah, forgive me for being presumptuous, but if there's anything here that's interesting, you want to use it, please do." I then got married that month, went away on a short honeymoon, came back, and there was a postcard from Morrissey saying that he wanted to lay the Smiths to rest for the time being and do a solo record. Would I be interested in doing it? So I was like, well, yeah, of course. So at that point, then I just dropped everything else that I was working on production wise and just really just focused on writing, and then obviously building up to when we went in and did the first session at the Warhol, which is the same studio where we did Strange Ways. And in that first session, we did actually do Suede Head. So, it was, but we still had a lot of work to do. And then I think we did a 2-week session, took a break. I had to go off and write more material. And then we came back together again, I think kind of late November, and then worked right up till Christmas. And that was it. Right. Yeah. First album was in the can as such. It was incredibly fast. I don't know how we did it, to be honest with you. I know I pretty much wore myself out by the end of it. I had stomach ulcers and everything, it was pretty, because I was very aware this was a big step,
Yeah.
The Smiths were very revered, and I did not want to be public enemy number one if I messed it up.
Did you sense a change in the way that Morrissey worked and presented himself from the Smiths to solo? Did he have more confidence perhaps or less confidence?
Not really, because he felt quite comfortable. He was obviously nervous. I mean, we all were. And I would hate to say that I knew exactly what he was feeling. I'm sure he was feeling a lot of angst and but because we were in a familiar place, we'd already been there before and made Strange Ways, which, and he liked the people that worked there. So it felt quite familiar to him. As long as there's those people, the studio and me, then there was a familiarity there that was, I think was useful. And then it was just the other two guys, Vinny and Andrew, that came in that I've kind of basically pulled in because I needed a drummer and I needed a better guitar player than myself to play, better parts, with more dexterity, as it were. So it was it really. That was it. It was just the four of us, But instead of it being Mike, Andy, and Johnny, it's me and Vinny and Andrew. And but we literally, I worked up to the day before Christmas Eve that year, recorded everything, and then he went back to Manchester, I went back home here to London, and I had no communication from him again for a good couple of months. It wasn't until Suede Head was given out to the press and just got across the board fantastic reviews. It was like, really kind of positive reviews. And then I get the communication from him again, kind of basically, I think it was a phone call then. It was hard talking to him on the phone. Sometimes you have to rely on a postcard, or they did actually use email or faxes. Actually, then was it fact? It was fact. There was no emails then. It was faxes. But I think it was a phone call saying, "Stephen, do you think we should go back in the studio?" Because I had been sending him stuff, even though I wasn't getting much communication back, I was still sending off cassettes of ideas. And that's when we went in and actually did a really good session. We did the B-sides for Every Day's Like Sunday. So that's Sister, I'm a Poet, Will Never Marry, and Disappointed. Cracking. I mean, if those three tracks have been on the first album proper, the first album, Viva Hate, I'm very proud of, but I listened to it as a few things I knew could have been better. And if those three songs had been on there and taken off the weakest three songs, it would have been a cracking album, I think, especially when you consider how quickly we turned it around.
So that first track, Suede Head, a lot of people have noted that you can sort of hear a transition away from the Smiths towards this new Morrissey solo. Was that a lot of your influence? Did you consciously think it has to sound a little bit like before, but it also has to sound?
Of course. Yeah, I mean, I was very, very aware, that a lot of the Smiths songs, I mean, everyone, goes on about Johnny and Morrissey, blah, blah, but for me, a lot of the Smiths songs, it's what the bass line's doing is really, really important. It's not just keeping time, it's a line in itself that's melodic and pushes it along. And that's very much how I wrote the bass line. And in fact, I wrote the bass line first in Every Day's Like Sunday rather than the chords. It was that doom, doom, doom. It was kind of very much like Echo and the Bunnymen type vibe, but the kind of, being on the dancing horses kind of thing. It's the line is important. It's not just going dum dum dum. It's really an integral part of it. And I was very much thinking, what kind of thing would Andy play? So again, with Suede Head, I had the chords, but it wasn't until I really nailed the bass line on it and sent that off. So when Morrissey got it, he must have really thought this is familiar, the kind of sound that we're going for. And it was an obvious step to take, really. I'm not going to suddenly turn Morrissey into, a kind of, I don't know, a country and western person, or what I mean, or heavy metal. Although we did actually go a little bit heavy metal with Alsatian Cousin, but I was able to try some different things, and a lot of the songs were really kind of driven rather by the bass lines that I would come up with, and that's why they were quite integral to those songs when we recorded them. So yes, it was a gradual thing going from Suede Head, and obviously we did know that Suede Head. It was quite evident when we did that first session that Suede Head was potentially could be a single. But I always remember the A&R guy coming down from EMI, because at this point EMI had signed the Smiths, and suddenly they haven't got the Smiths anymore. They've got Morrissey as a solo artist, and they must have been kind of thinking, what the hell do we do now? But when the A&R guy came down with Gal Colson, who was managing Morrissey at the time, and I could see by their faces when they heard that track, everything was like, this is going to be okay. This is going to be right. And it did prove to be the case, as you know. It went smacking into the top 5, didn't it? I think, on its release. So that was it, really. That was the initial. And then it was because Morrissey did know it was going to work. He was more in communication. I think he must have panicked for a while, perhaps after we finished the session. Perhaps he was going through a series of doubt, and that's why I guess he went quiet on me for a while.
Does Morrissey have that technical musical language? Does he say, I want to do it in the key of F? Or
no?
Okay.
It's a feel thing for him.
Yeah.
He'll kind of there and he'll say, no, it's too high, it's too low. And but what he does come up with is fantastic, and as we all know. But no, he won't say, look, can you play a minor there rather than a major? And can I have the key taken down? No, he's not interested in that. He just wants to get the framework right, and he'll express himself, and then you've just got to know how to read it and provide it, which I'm sure you would have got from all the other people like Alan and Boz and all the other people that have ever worked with him,
And so, just to briefly sort of go back to the Smiths time, and I'm particularly interested in the breakup because you say, everything was fine. There was no sense that there was this impending doom. And I suppose you must have thought back on that and thought, well, were there signs? Do you really think it was just totally out of the blue for everyone?
The only thing that I really saw, and this is something that historically is continued, is Morrissey falling out with management.
Right.
And what happened at the time when we were doing Strange Ways, they'd taken on some pretty heavy duty management. They had this guy called Ken Friedman, an American guy, who was at that time, pretty successful as a music manager. And I think Johnny was greatly relieved because Johnny, had too many times in the past had to deal with managers and firing them and then getting another manager. And this guy had come in and he was American, so Smiths wanted to kind of crack America a bit more, and I think they really wanted to kind of, for at once in their life, have a good professional management set up around them. But Morrissey, being Morrissey, he decided halfway through making that record that he didn't feel very comfortable with Ken Friedman. Very happy with everything going in the studio, but when it came to like where do we go next with this record, he started getting kind of, I don't like to use the word contrary, but that's kind of really, I guess, where it went rather. And I remember they had a video shoot planned for one of the singles from the album. I can't remember which one now. And Ken Freeman arranged it all, got the director in, everyone's there, in London ready for the shoot, and Morrissey just didn't turn up. And obviously Ken knew then that the writing was on the wall, and Ken would be trying to make communication with him, and Morrissey just was not responding. So I think that was the beginning of then Johnny kind of thinking, I've had enough of this, because I want to have a proper manager. I'm fed up, having to do it all myself because we keep firing people. And I think that was one of the things that might have just helped push Johnny towards that decision that he made. But obviously, you'd have to ask Johnny himself to get the the full reason why he left. But I'm sure there were many things actually that built up over time. But that didn't help, definitely.
Do you think they made the right decision to split at that time? Was it? I mean, hopefully you can see where I'm coming from.
It's hard to say. I mean, obviously for me, it was a great chance to come, to start Morrissey's solo career. But even when we had done right up until, Interest in Drug and the Bono Drag compilation getting put together, which obviously I had nothing to do with it. It was those decisions are purely Morrissey's. But I really thought that within like 18 months, 2 years of the Smiths breaking up, they would be back together again. I really did think that. I didn't think that it was going to be, this is it now. But knowing the history of everything now and seeing obviously the court case and so on, it makes it pretty difficult. It really does. It makes it very difficult to kind of forget everything and come back together again. And it has been well documented. There were some times when there's talk of perhaps coming together. But I think Johnny was probably kind of really thought about it, strongly, and thought, I'm not sure I want this again. Who knows? Again, these are questions only Johnny can answer.
No, we can't do this interview without asking you about the clip at the end of I Started Something I Couldn't Finish, where Morrissey says, "Okay, Stephen, shall we do that again?" And I presume he's talking to you in the booth.
Yeah.
Whose decision was that to have Stephen immortalised in that way on the track?
I think I did. I was always a bit of a fan. I always remember liking some of the Mark Bolan records, and you'd hear like a little aside on the vocal, at the end of something. And I think I said to Morrissey, I really like the fact that at the end of it, she said, okay, can we do this again? The Stephen thing I wasn't really fussed about, but I said, I love the fact, let's do it again. Can we leave it in? And they went, okay, why not? And so that's why it's there. It wasn't done because my name's in there. It's just one of those things where you hear that little aside at the end. It makes people realise, there was a vocal take, and let's do it again, And I just like that. So those little kind of ad libs and things.
I think they really add to it.
Yeah.
I went to see Morrissey in his recent shows. There was a few of them that he's just done in one in Canada and then America. Right. This sort of leads on to my next question, because he mentions in the on stage in one of the bits between the songs, he said something like, in England, people who kill children are treated better by the press than me. And the sort of the question there is, what do you think of Morrissey's treatment in the media? Do you think it's unfair? Or
I think sometimes he sets himself up for it. He knows. I mean, if you go back over the interviews, right back to when the Smiths were going, he loved a bit of contrariness, didn't he, Morrissey? I mean, he would always come up with a really good line that they could put out there, And I think he just loves playing the media. And I think at first they were very, around that time, back in the 80s, I think they were very, very excited. Someone who's got a lot to say. He's eloquent.
Yeah.
And it was entertainment. And so they would give him huge interviews and just sit back and let him go. It would be entertaining. Now the press has changed, and I think because some of the more political things that he's come out with, he's kind of put himself on a bit of a kind of tricky situation, I think. We all love him for the songs he writes and performs, and I love all that side of it. I'm not too sure about some of the things he says politically sometimes, but everyone's entitled to their own opinion.
Of course, yeah.
But I have seen, people be burnt by work. I don't want to be too hard and too critical, but there is a side to him that can be a little bit dismissive and not particularly nice. And I think sometimes that pops out in an interview sometimes, and people jump on it because you can these days. And it's not just the press that comes out once a week on with the NME or Sounds, or it's like straight away out there on social media, and it's ping ponged around the world. And so it's a tricky scenario now to manage, I think.
Yeah, that's very true, Stephen, what you say, because even the things that Morrissey is saying in between songs at live gigs are being written down and then pushed out by the music Instagram accounts.
Yeah.
You know, Morrissey says he's too cancelled to release music or whatever, Do you think we live in the age of cancel culture, don't we? And from your perspective, has Morrissey been cancelled, or is he kind of somehow invincible to cancellation?
I don't think he's been cancelled. No, I don't. I mean, it's been a bugbear for Morrissey ever since the beginning of time. I've not played enough on the radio. It happened when he was on Enough Trade at the Smiths, and it's something that goes on. It's just that sad fact that we had that wonderful time in the 80s and going and around Britpop times as well in the 90s, where guitar music was getting played on radio. It's not anymore. It's Sabrina Carter. It's Taylor Swift. It's Dua Lipa. It's like everywhere. This just isn't that outlet anymore, and it hurts him because he, like me, is a great fan of Top of the Pops and Radio 1 and being on the playlist, and that's what we love. That's what we grew up on. You didn't make music just for it not to be heard. You wanted it to be on the most popular radio stations, and now, you're lucky if you get on the Spotify alternative list. It's really not that gratifying anymore. And it's not just Morrissey; it's all the other things I work on as well. The alternative guitar-based music isn't really getting a lot of exposure, and he likes to moan about it, and then and rightly so. But because he's a public figure and he's a famous person, he gets heard more than I do when I moan about it.
Well, I guess we'll leave it there. Have you asked everything you wanted to ask?
Yeah, that's been great. Really good.
Thank you so much, Stephen.
I hope I didn't ramble too much, and as I say, if there's any subsequent questions you want to fire at me, over the internet or anything, please feel free.
Thank you.
Right? Yeah, thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Bye then, guys. Nice to meet you. Take care.
So that was Stephen Street. That was great. The one I know I wasn't really in it, but but I did ask some questions. So you have to get on the Patreon thing to listen to that bit. But yeah, I think it was really interesting that he said that he doesn't think Morrissey's been cancelled, which I think we agree. I don't think Morrissey can be cancelled. But it was interesting around the fact that
he can have a good crack at it.
I think he has. Yeah, I think he has. I think he could push it. He pushes this look a bit, which is good. So yeah, I think it was interesting around the. I was going to say, you've ruined my train of thought. No, I was going to say that. What was I going to say?
Well, you were saying it's interesting that he hasn't been cancelled. The music press has changed.
Sorry. So it was interesting because he was talking about the fact that maybe they encouraged it, back then, but now they're all after blood a little bit more, and I think they want to cancel him, even though, in Stephen's opinion, in my opinion, they can't. So that was really interesting to me. Also that he keeps the postcards that Morrissey sent, which was quite good.
Excuse me, sorry.
So yeah, what did you think of it?
Well, I think it's really interesting what you picked up on there about the cancellation, because I know obviously I'm a journalist, but I only work for a local newspaper company. I'm not working at a national paper or something. But I have heard many people say, and I think it rings true, that journalists want blood.
I just said that, didn't I?
Yeah, I know, that's what you say. They love it when they can hound out a government minister or a secretary of state or something. Like recently in the UK, the Times found out that a government minister had been convicted for fraud in the past. Very low level fraud, but fraud nonetheless. She was out within 24 hours.
Yeah, I didn't get that. Why would that? Can't you not redeem yourself? Am I unredeemable?
No.
I don't understand that. Why she went? Is that maybe there's more behind it? But that didn't make sense.
Yeah.
So you're right. That's what happens, isn't it? That someone does something, they get punished for it, but then forever they can't move on from that, which I think is a bit cruel.
You're right. There's no place for redemption, and there's no place for nuance and slow, reflective news. So that's what I'm trying to say. It's very interesting you picked up on that, on what Stephen said. The press has changed. For what they once praised Morrissey for, they now vilify him for. Now, that's not to say that I agree with every political and ethical opinion that Morrissey has, and I'm sure you don't agree with everything either. Maybe a bit more than me, but not all of it. So yeah, and just once again, thank you, Stephen, for doing this interview, because Stephen Street is a big deal, and there is no reason in the world why he had to do this podcast, but he said yes, and we're very grateful for that.
And he was very easy to talk to.
Yeah.
It was really fun to talk to.
He made us feel comfortable.
Yeah.
So we'll just mention once more these T-shirts that me and Chris are wearing. Chris is wearing the T-shirts are afraid of the pupils.
Can I see it?
Yeah, that's Laurence Olivier, by the way, the famous actor.
It's got Morrissey at the bottom.
Yeah, well, the word Morrissey.
The word Morrissey, yes. Yeah.
I'm wearing Sweet and Tender Hooligans T-shirt featuring Cornelius Carr, the boxer, and Morrissey in the 90s. There is also the Patricia Routledge Come and Join the Girls T-shirt, which is my personal favourite.
Me too.
This has been the biggest seller, followed by, I think, Patricia and then this one. But they're all selling fast, £25 each. Fairly reasonable postage cost to the US and the EU. In the UK, it's just £2.50. And a final reminder, if you want to listen to the full unedited interview, unedited,
It's a tongue twister.
enunciate, the full unedited interview with Stephen Street, you can do that by subscribing to our Patreon, which is just £4.50 a month or $5 in the US. You'll also get what we're about to record, which is Chris and George off mic, 30 minutes of unfiltered opinions, but it's not as bad as that sounds. It's not just two drunk old men.
Well,
Being horrible.
you're a bit old.
You'll be past 30 soon, Chris, and then
Not
we'll
yet.
see how you feel about age.
Now 28, for Christ's sake.
So yeah, think about subscribing to the Patreon if you want to help us and contribute. Now we can't go without saying thank you to Gary. Thank you, Gary.
Cheers.
Gary of Red Eye Studios, www.redeye.co.uk. That's IEYE. Gary's done so much just to make this set look bloody amazing.
Yep. Yeah, we haven't actually said hello to Morrissey.
Oh, and cheers to Morrissey as well, but Gary a bit more.
Yeah.
Thank you, Gary.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching. Really appreciate it. I'll say goodbye and Godspeed.
Thank you. God bless Morrissey. God bless Patricia Routledge.
Yes.